You're listening to FabulosiTEA, in which we discuss what you bring to the tea party, essentials for the modern heroine.
I'm Caroline from Sparkles and Crumbs.
And I'm Xandra from Fashionably Light.
Woo! Hello everyone, we're back! Hooray! So welcome to this week's episode, in which we discuss Cleopatra-Worthy baths. So the reason we picked this topic is because I tend to agree with Sylvia Plath, who said that there must be quite a few things that a hot bath won't cure, but I don't know many of them. I'm a big bath fan. Xandra, you are not, so you're going to give an interesting perspective.
It's not like I'm anti-baths or anything. You were just so adamant about doing this episode, and I was like, okay, if you really want to, but I don't know how much I can contribute. So we'll see.
Okay, you can do the literature historical side of things.
Yeah, I did get out my Roman baths book.
Rather than personal wallowing side of things.
I'm sure I'll think of it.
But before we go into that, what's fabulous in your life today, Xandra?
Well, yesterday night I went to my first blogging event in Boston, which was really fun. It was with Blog Better Boston, and we had a workshop on crafting a newsletter for blogging. So I got to meet some cool people, and it was a really fun night.
That sounds so good.
Mm-hmm. That's going back to our blogging episode, that's one of the best things about about blogging is meeting people and connecting through similar interests in the real world as well as on the internet.
Well, I love that you're getting proper kind of a blogger community there, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're the best. What's your FabulosiTEA?
Mine's kind of seasonal related. I'm really happy because all the chocolate shops in Cambridge are having their huge post-Easter sale. So because I'm a massive cheapskate, I basically waited till after Easter, and I've gone to Hotel Chocolat and Chocolat, and they have all their amazing giant gourmet eggs for half price.
Wait, I just passed the Hotel Chocolat in Boston. I didn't even think that they would have.
You so should. They do all their eggs, like the giant ones that are filled with champagne truffles for half price. So I just gone and bought a load. It's amazing. Let's still do it. Go back tomorrow.
Okay, hold on.
Before it's too late.
Wasn't it last year that we had our Easter extravaganza?
Yes!
Yeah.
Where we watched Easter Parade.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Easter Parade?
Yeah, it was Easter Parade.
And couldn't understand why Judy Garland picks Fred Astaire over Peter Lawford.
He's so awful.
Because he's so awful. No one liked Fred Astaire. And Peter Lawford's so handsome and British in that.
Yes, because he's British is important.
Well, he's just got such a lovely posh English voice.
Yes.
And he's so dashing.
And he's not creepy.
He's not creepy. Oh, and where did we go? We went to Bill's, and we found that Easter chick someone had left.
Oh, that was wonderful.
It's on an Easter egg trail.
Yeah, someone had just left an Easter egg outside at the top of the steps and said, "Open me, I'm yours."
Oh, yeah. That was a magical day.
Egg in it. Yeah, so happy Easter, everybody.
Yes. Go to Hotel Chocolat and get your discount eggs.
Yeah.
Woo. Okay, so our topic today, hopefully we do have some fellow bath lovers listening. I'm going to start probably talking about famous literary baths.
Yay.
So one of the scenes that really stuck with me is in one of my favourite books of all time, Dodie Smith's I Capture the Castle.
Mm-hmm.
Have you read it yet, Xandra?
Not yet. It's on my shelf.
You must. It's so wonderful. But in it, basically, this family kind of in I think it's the 1930s, live in this big, rambling, falling apart castle, and the main character runs herself baths in the old kind of enamel bathtub in front of the fire in the big drafty living room. And there's this one scene where she kind of runs her bath and gets a little bar of chocolate and her favourite book, and she discusses kind of the how do you bathe. So she says, "I believe it is customary to get one's washing over first in baths and bask afterwards. Personally, I bask first. I have discovered that the first few minutes are the best and not to be wasted. My brain always seizes of ideas and life suddenly looks much better than it did. Father says hot water can be as stimulating as an alcoholic drink, and though I never come by one, I can well believe it." I love that. That's why baths are so good, because you can bask.
So that's the big question for you and for our listeners. Bask first or bath first?
Oh, say you want to save the basking until the end, because that's the best bit.
Yeah. Well, she disagrees. I guess you can bask in the beginning and the end.
That's true.
As long as you bathe at some point.
It's an important question. But in terms of, dream baths, Xandra, I know you might be a fan of baths, but you do love Harry Potter, and do you remember in the Goblet of Fire? The prefects bath?
Do I remember?
I think I just read it and I wanted to, build a replica for myself. It's the way, for those who haven't read the scene, it's this huge magical bath, and it has about, kind of dozens of huge taps around the outside that had different bubbles and soaps coming out of them to mix in with the hot water, and you can swim in it. It's so big. Ugh.
Yeah, it was actually crucial for Harry to uncover the key to the second task of the Triwizard Tournament. Although it was kind of weird because Cedric was like, you should go to the prefect's bathroom and you'll find out all about the task. And Harry's like, what? Take a bath?
I sincerely hope Harry completely abused that knowledge and used the bath all year in secret.
Yeah.
Because I would definitely go back and use it. Oh, should I tell you something very funny?
Yes.
About ideal baths? So this is quite an embarrassing story, but basically my mum and I went on a holiday together to Verona a couple of years ago, which was lovely. And we stayed in a really nice hotel, and they had a gorgeous whirlpool bath.
Mm-hmm.
The kind where you press a big button and it turns the entire bath into a jacuzzi. So I was in heaven. And one night I was like, oh, they've got bubble bath, pour some in. Poured some in, got in, turned on the jacuzzi button, and suddenly the bubbles started overflowing.
What did you do?
Turn the button off. It was kind of slippery from the bubble bath. So apparently Mum heard these shrieks of help! And kind of came in, and these bubbles were pouring over the side of the bath and covering my face, and I was trying to crawl out from under them.
That's so cinematic.
It was so embarrassing, so we managed to turn it off and clean it up a bit, but there's a brilliant picture of me kind of afterwards, still hidden in this huge amount of bubbles, looking a bit guilty. So that was fun.
So what is your ideal bath? Bubbles? No bubbles?
Oh, tons and tons and tons of bubbles.
Okay, bubbles are key.
I know some people don't like bubbles. They prefer bath bombs or even bath oils.
Okay.
But I'm a big Lush fan.
I'm a big Lush fan too. And actually, I used to have a lot of bath bombs, and I would just line them up on my windowsill in my bathroom and just soak in the aroma.
They smell so good. They're like air fresheners, but actually smell nice and not kind of chemically and horrible. Exactly. For people who are kind of not convinced by baths, I always recommend the Big Blue bath bomb that Lush do.
Okay.
Which is incredible. So you throw it into a bath, and it turns the water bright, kind of Indian Ocean turquoise. And there are tiny little strands of very soft, quite unusual seaweed.
Okay.
That kind of float around you, so It's very skin softening, but it kind of feels like you're in a really beautiful, tiny ocean.
Awesome. Well, I'm all for that. I think my main issue with the baths, and I'm a bit hypocritical in saying this because it's the opposite of what I encourage people to do, is I save up nice bath products and then I don't end up using them, which is sort of the opposite philosophy of what I preach with wearing your favorite clothes all the time and not saving them, because you're not going to have an occasion if you never make one up. But I that's always been the issue with me in baths is using up the special products. But I do have a sort of special shower routine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so every...
Like a ritual?
Well, every Sunday, I started this tradition. Originally, it was Spa Sunday. It's changed to Cinderella Sunday, and I'll tell you why. Cinderella Sunday! Yeah. So, I was thinking, it would be nice to have a weekly ritual where I just relax and cleanse, and then I'll start fresh on Monday morning. But what it turned into was combining all of the nasty chores that I have to do, so that's where the Cinderella part comes in. So, in the morning on Sunday, is laundry day, and I vacuum my room and change my sheets. I dust, do all of those things that Cinderella does at the beginning of the movie. And then in the afternoon, I'll tend to cook or bake. and just relax and allow myself. I usually paint my nails while watching a film because I'm so impatient that when I paint my nails, I realize that I'm such a busybody. I have to go around and like, I realize how often I use my hands, and I always mess it up, and then I have to wait even longer.
I do that. I always smudge them because I get impatient and want to do things.
Yeah, exactly. So I make a tradition of it where I watch a film, probably from Gala's 50 films to watch when you're sad, or whatever that list is called.
The sad trombone list.
Yeah, the sad trombone list. Yeah, I mean, they're really good movies, so I've been like working my way through that list while I let my nails dry, so allow more than enough time. And then in the shower, I have a Buffy, I'm not sure exactly what it is, actually. It's like a body bar.
Is it the Lush,
yeah, it's the Lush
exfoliating body scrub
body
bar?
scrub bar, yeah. So you put on your soap normally, and then it sort of has these sea salts in it, I think, that will sort of scratch at your skin, but it also leaves it really soft. So just having that like extra layer of luxurious moisture. And since it's a bar that you can use several times, like I've had it for a few months now, it doesn't feel as wasteful to me as like using up an entire bath bomb in one night.
Well, I'm quite sneaky. So Lush do big bubble bars, which are their more bubbly kind of products. And they're quite huge, and they're usually quite expensive. They're about £4.50 each. Here in the UK, but you only need a quarter of each one to get a bar full of huge kind of old Hollywood style Marilyn Monroe and the 7-Year Itch bubbles. So really it's actually only a quarter of the price.
Oh, so do you have like a cutting board and a knife next to your bathtub?
Oh no, nothing that organised. I just kind of smash it on the edge of the bath.
Well, first you get out your aggravation, and then you just enjoy the calm.
It's very. If we're talking about ideal things to bathe in, did you know, in researching this episode, I found out the Cadogan Hotel in London does a champagne bar.
Really?
Yeah.
Like actual champagne?
You can have a bar filled with 120 bottles of champagne.
How much does that cost?
Okay, so it depends on the champagne. That's it. So the cheapest option is to bathe in Louis de Custine Brut, which is £4,000.
That's the cheapest one. Okay.
And guess how much the most expensive is Dom Perignon Vintage, and that's £25,000 for a bar. And you have a personal butler who draws the bar for you, heated to your desired temperature. And you also get one of the bottles of Dom Perignon Vintage and a serving of chocolate-covered strawberries.
I was going to ask if you can actually drink the champagne as well.
So I'm sure I mentioned before John Baxter, who writes brilliant books about kind of living in Paris. In his book, We'll Always Have Paris, Sex and Love in the City of Light, he does write about how one of the famous kind of brothels in Paris, the Chabanais, sounds about right, was frequented frequently by the Prince of Wales at the time in the 1880s, and one of his favourite things to do was pick one of his favourite ladies of the night from this place and fill a swan-necked bath with champagne and get them to swim in it.
Okay.
And then, like, drink it all. So there you go. I think I'd rather have my champagne on the side.
Yeah. You swim in it first and then you drink it?
Yeah.
I don't know about that order.
Yeah, I think he just had weird taste.
I feel like
but there you go.
If I were going to indulge in the £4,000 champagne bath, I would like glance around.
I'd want one of the bottles on the side.
Well, like before I got in, I'd just scoop it up and have a glass before I got into the bath.
You know, my incredibly eccentric Irish grandma, who used to work in catering, used to say that at the end of a really long day, she'd take some of the leftover champagne and bathe her feet in it.
One of the leftover champagnes. Why not? It's like recycling. Speaking of Earth Day.
I was like, why didn't you drink it, Nana? And she's just like, oh, well, no, it had gone flat.
Yeah, I guess that would be a great use for flat champagne that you were otherwise not going to use.
Apparently washing your hair with it if you have blonde hair.
Oh. So does it actually do something to your skin or your hair besides just feeling expensive?
Let me look it up, actually. Do you know what? One of my goals in life is now to be rich enough to just wash my hair in champagne. Ooh, wouldn't that be amazing? Joel Warren of Warren Tricomi Salon, love Google, says apparently champagne is very good for making blonde hair smooth and silky.
There you go. Just blonde hair.
Best for light hair.
Okay.
Apparently.
Wow, you'll have to try it out and report back.
One day.
FabulosiTEA experiment. Get to do our proper research.
Well, this is, you know, Diana Vreeland used to do her famous "Why Don't You" columns in Harper's Bazaar, I think it was. Cool. And they were just completely mocked because they were so outrageous. I'll try and find some examples. Oh, they were so brilliant. Why don't you paint a map of the world on all four walls of your boys' nursery so they won't grow up with a provincial point of view?
Oh, I like that one, actually.
Yeah, they're brilliant. They were absolutely brilliant. Gift suggestions. She sings like, why don't you give to the wife of your favourite band leader an entire jazz band made of tiny diamonds and emeralds in the form of a bracelet from Neiman Marcus? It was just like insane suggestions for like eccentric rich people, and I just love it.
I like how she phrases it though, because a lot of magazines these days will basically say that, but just sort of slap a picture on there, and you glance at it and you're like, yeah, right. But if you phrase it in a nice question, then you're like, oh, well, that would be nice, I guess.
She was absolutely bonkers. And some of her ideas are really good, like, why don't you add life to your curtains by pinning some charming animal brooches to them? How delightful to imagine them frolicking along your walls.
How delightful indeed.
So back to the point, apparently one of her why don't yous was, why don't you rinse your blonde child's hair in flat champagne to keep its gold, as they do in France?
I think we should have the Diana Vreeland quote of the week.
Oh, she was just amazing.
Yeah.
We should definitely do it.
Okay, so the champagne hair thing will be this week's, and then we'll have to find one for next week's episode as well. I don't know.
Diana was just so fabulosity. So she should come to FabulosiTEA. Like the dream dinner party.
Yeah.
So slightly less extravagantly than bathing in like £120 bottles of champagne. Cleopatra famously, as we referred to in the episode title, bathed in milk.
Yeah.
And there's actually lots of proof that this is really good for your skin because it has lots of lactic acid, which apparently exfoliates and rebuilds collagen, and is very good if you have quite sensitive or sore or dry skin. And I managed to find a link for making it's very simple, your own kind of milk and honey bath. So we'll pop that in the show notes as usual.
That sounds a bit more affordable.
Yeah, not as much fun. Another nice idea is if you have lavender or some, roses growing in your garden, pop some petals in.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you had any experience with that because when my family was in the Philippines, that's the only time I've ever been to the spa. And, we were like, well, when in the Philippines. And one of the options was to bathe in like a rose-petaled bath. Another one was a mud bath.
Ooh.
I went for the
Do you know what would be good? A chocolate bath.
A chocolate bath? Is that a thing?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it should be. Sorry, carry on.
Didn't you have some sort of... No, that's on topic, actually. It is a bath. Didn't you have some sort of lush spa experience with chocolate?
Yes, it was amazing. But it was like a body scrub.
Okay. So you weren't actually immersed in a vat of chocolate.
No, so it's really interesting. So it's a dry, warm body scrub. So the thinking was that lots of body scrub treatments in spas and kind of health centres are quite cold and wet and damp and just a bit unpleasant, and then you interrupt kind of the treatment to go wash it off. So their way of doing it was you kind of lie in this beautiful pink room filled with bubbles with lovely music playing, and kind of the therapist massages a really gorgeous fragrant cocoa scrub, which is heated up into your skin and then just washes it off for you with like damp towels. warmed.
That sounds lovely.
It was so lovely.
Wait a minute. I may have found something.
Ooh.
Okay, so on the topic of chocolate baths, there is the Hotel Hershey, which has the chocolate spa. They have innovative treatments like the whipped cocoa bath, chocolate bean polish, and the cocoa facial experience. Leave it to us to make chocolate good for your skin.
I keep forgetting that this is not going to be able to see my face, but I'm really excited. I do think a good chocolate is important to have with your bath.
You say that so seriously. But yes.
It's just vital. I always get green and black butterscotch and kind of have it.
Yeah.
Just like an entire bar.
That sounds really sweet.
It's so good.
I do love truffles. They're my favorite kind of chocolate, and I know they're not even a kind of chocolate. It's more like a structure of chocolate.
They're very fashionably light.
They are, yeah.
Like dinky and fabulous.
Right. Well, you have to savor it, because if you have like a whole bar of chocolate in front of you, you'll like munch on it, and then you'll want more. But if you know what your limitation is, you'll savor every bite.
It's true. I should probably eat more truffles than just entire bars of chocolate, but there you go.
Well, you have Chocolat near you.
I do. I have a lot of chocolate shops near me. I'm thinking a post idea for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to do a chocolate tour of Cambridge.
Oh, that's such a good idea.
Independent chocolate shops and just sample all of them.
And there's a really good chocolate place in Edinburgh as well.
Which one's that?
The Cellar Door.
Oh, next trip.
Yeah. So we were talking about truffles because they complement baths, which is our actual topic. So I think what truffles and baths have in common is they're both a treat that needs to be taken seriously as some time that you take to yourself, that you're treating yourself to a bit of calm and a bit of enjoyment.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
And also, a glass of champagne doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, well, same goes for a glass of champagne. It's a celebratory drink.
Yeah, rather than an entire bath. You do what you can.
Right. Yeah, so we've talked about baths as a solitary experience, but to the Romans it was quite a social one. So I have my Roman city book here, and I'll post a picture of the layout for the baths. And if you're in England, I would strongly suggest visiting Bath and visiting the baths, where people would go and socialize and indulge in the different rooms. So they would basically have different sections of the bath for different temperatures of water and different things to do, like for relaxing and socializing, and different ones for men and women. And you could also go to the baths and swim. So it was like a swimming pool / spa.
Ooh, that sounds amazing. Well, I guess it's not necessarily bathing in terms... Well, it's the same as Cassandra's kind of initial distinction between bathing and basking. I'm a huge fan of hot tubs of all kinds. So my friend and I still have our Monday tradition of going to the gym hot tub, which is outside looking out over the green in Cambridge, sharing a bottle of Cava and just kind of relaxing and chatting. Yeah. It's like basically a normal Monday night, except you're in a hot tub. And you can pretend you're in a Roman bath.
Yeah, so instead of... we have our fabulous ways of having like a sampler of these extravagant things that we're talking about. Like, maybe don't bathe in a 4,000-pound bath of champagne. Or maybe do, if that's really what you want to save up your money and spend it on. But you could enjoy a glass of champagne with your water bath or your milk and honey bath. And likewise, you could just go to the hot tub and pretend that you're in Rome. Are there actual bathing opportunities in Rome itself?
I don't know. I know there is one in Paris.
Oh, really?
Paris has a real hammam scene, which are kind of in the same, almost in a Roman vein. They're kind of traditional North African steam baths. I think so. You go in and get a proper old school massage and exfoliation, and
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
And you go from kind of room to room, and you have there's a hot room with a plunge pool, and so you kind of go through all the rooms, and then you wait for your massage while you drink mint tea and have pastries.
Oh, that sounds lovely. So we've sort of talked about how you can bring this to the tea party by gaining some inspiration for your own baths. So we'd like to hear what your favorite way to bathe is. So I guess what kinds of things do you do now, and what kinds of things would you dream of doing if money were no object and could have your ideal bath?
In terms of any other business, we're on Feline this week doing a guest post about how FabulosiTEA kind of came about. We'll pop a link in the show note.
Well, thank you to Joe for hosting us.
Yes.
And next week, would you like to announce next week's episode?
Oh, yes. So do get in touch and let us know if you like the article, if you like this episode, as always. Next week's episode 15, will be in which we discuss faraway friends and long-distance love.
Very exciting. So you can visit us on FabulosiTEA.com. And please remember to subscribe to our newsletter to get your complimentary tea and cake pairings with each episode. We'll have to think about one for this episode. And you can. The best way to reach us is on Twitter at FabulosiTEA.
So until next tea time, next Friday tea time.
We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye. Well, au revoir for this episode.